Depression and how entrepreneurs can overcome it. So earlier in my podcast episode journey, I gave a stat one day that was given by Forbes magazine, and it stated that over 72% of all entrepreneurs deal with mental health issues in some form or fashion. And what that told me is that the journey of entrepreneurship, it can be a tough one, but especially if you do not have the tools needed to manage not only the business side, but also the personal side as well. Something that I love bringing up is when you go to Barnes & Noble and you go to the business section, if you look to the left, you'll also notice that there's a self-help section right beside it. And the reason why is because who you are internally will show up in your business externally. So we need to make sure that we're clicking on all cylinders. And that's why your mental health, your personal development journey, it needs to be in sync. It needs to be at its peak performance so that you can perform better in your careers, but also in your personal life as well. And I want to talk to you guys a little bit about that. So one of the first things, and I'll make this quick, one of the first things that an entrepreneur can do in order to help them overcome their depression is actually by acknowledging it. And the reason why is because a lot of us, we don't take time to do self-inventory, do a self-check of how we're doing emotionally. We know how the business is going because we know the numbers, whether it be the numbers that you made this month in terms of income, revenue, net profit, all that stuff, right? How well your conversions are. All these things are things that we know, but when we ask ourselves how we're doing emotionally, mentally, spiritually, that can sometimes gives us a little bit of confusion because we haven't stopped and actually, tapped in and checked in on ourselves in that way. Something that someone said the other day, and it's a simple thing. You go and get your car checked, and if your phone is messed up, you may take it to Apple or to, T-Mobile and get it checked, right? You probably also go and get your teeth checked twice a year for cleaning, which is something that you should do, right? In addition to all other health checks. But when it comes to your mental health, how often do you check in with that? That's something that you guys really need to stop and really ask yourselves. And this is big because this is the thing that makes the business run. It's not, your employees, it's not your skill set, but it's the person using the skill set. It's the person managing the employees. And that's why I need you to be in top tip shape in order to perform at your best. Now, the second thing I'll add to this first step is that once you acknowledge it, you also need to practice embracing it. And that may catch you off guard because you may say, well, why would I want to embrace depression? Well, what I mean by that is you want to actually not spend so much time trying to fight your depression and trying to make it go away, because this is where bad habits starts to fall in. So I'll give you an example. When someone's dealing with depression from grief, or let's say a breakup, a divorce, or let's say they just didn't have a great month business-wise, something that someone could do to try to make that depression go away is smoke it away, drink it away, or even sleep it away, whether it's them sleeping all day by themselves or sleeping with other people. These are things that adds to your depression, because not only do you now have depression, but also now you have a drinking problem, right? Or maybe you've picked up an STD, or maybe you've cheated on someone, like whatever the case it may be. Now you are dealing with two problems versus the original one. So when I say embrace the depression, I also want to make sure that you guys understand that I'm not saying that we just let depression have its way and tell us what to do. No, what I'm asking you to do, what I'm telling you to do, is to actually allow it to be there so that you can really focus on the actions that you need to take. Because just like when it rains and we do not try to fight the rain, when sadness comes, we do not want to get into a tug of war with that emotion as well. We want it to allow it to come and go, because there's a great chance the emotion that you're feeling is warranted. There's a good chance that you're not just feeling this emotion out of the blue, but something happened. And I want to tell you that things will happen. Things have happened to you, to myself, everybody. And they will continue to happen, just like it will continue to rain. The thing is now that we need to make sure that we're prepared when it rains. And that's what I mean by embracing it, okay? When depression comes, it doesn't mean that you're messing up or anything like that. And I don't want you to beat yourself up now that you're depressed, because as I stated earlier, now you have two problems. It's kind of like being mad that you're mad, or being sad that you're sad, or being anxious that you're anxious. It just doesn't make sense, because you're adding on in places that you don't actually have to add on to. And now it makes that pain even more difficult to deal with. Now, the second thing that you can do to help you to overcome your depression is actually stop and listen to it. Now, again, you may be asking, what do you mean by listen to your depression? Well, what I mean is, I want you to ask yourself, why is this depression here? What is it about my life that changed within the last week, the last month, that has brought this emotion here? Because here's the thing about pain, sadness, anxiety, and all the uncomfortable emotions that we tend to run away from. They actually are communicators. They're telling you that there's something in your life that you deeply care about that's actually missing. And when you find out what it is that you're missing, now we have a game plan for what goals we should be setting. So I'll give you an example. If you find yourself depressed because your business isn't going well, maybe we should dive a little bit deeper into finding out, well, why is the business isn't doing well? Or to take a little bit deeper, we can ask ourselves, why is it that I care so much about this business? Maybe there's a value there, if you will, right? And because you're not doing well in your business, you're not able to express that value. I myself experienced this personally when my business wasn't doing well when I first started. And the reason why I was so beat up about it, depressed about it, is because I wasn't able to live out my dream the way that I saw it. And by seeing that, it told me, hey, not only is this something that I deeply care about, which is helping people, but I also need to figure out how to do marketing, how to be an entrepreneur, and all these other things. And I'll keep going with this. Another reason why you want to listen to your sadness, your depression, and let's keep it within the business piece. It may be telling you that there's something about your business that isn't fulfilling, or that the business itself is not fulfilling, and now it's time to find a different business, if you will, okay? So think about what I'm saying. Let's say right now you're working with, let's say, doctors, if you will. Let's say you run a marketing agency for doctors, and it's paying the bills, but you're not seeing any excitement, right? It's kind of like you show up, you do it, you know you're gonna get paid, and you've been getting paid for months, years, whatever the case may be, but it's not something that you're like, wow, this is so amazing. What I would ask you is, well, what does make you light up? What is exciting for you? You may say, hey, I love the idea of teaching new entrepreneurs how to actually run a business, how to run a marketing business, or whatever the case it may be. If that is the case, then we need to change our marketing. And my apologies, as you can see, my son, I had to put him down. He got a little restless. But nonetheless, your values are hidden in your pain, and your pain, they will illuminate what it is that you care about. In other words, your values. So what I would ask you to do is to stop and see, why is it that you're feeling this depression? And ask yourself, on the other side of that depression, what is it that is showing you that you care about? Find this, and then you'll find the plan that you need to set and the course that you need to be taking. That's it, guys. And that's one of the easiest ways to actually overcome depression. And the third step is an easy step. It's one of the techniques that I give to a lot of my clients, and it involves helping you with those unhelpful thoughts. So one of the main things that keeps people depressed is ruminating. In other words, worrying, taking a thought and just thinking about it over and over and over again. That can cause great psychological pain, if you will. And one of the things that we want to do is we want to step back from those thoughts. And I say that specifically because I don't want us to think that we have to get rid of thoughts. That's not the case. But what we want to do is we want to be able to let go of thoughts the same way that a dog would let go of a bone if he was just gnawing on it, if you will. And one of the easiest ways is to give the mind its own identity. In other words, give the mind a name. I've had all my clients do this, and some of them come up with some of the most randomest names, like SpongeBob or The Mind or Jimmy John's, right? Like the Subway place, or simply John Doe, if you will. What I want you to do is give your mind a name. For me, I give it several names. Sometimes I call it Skip. If you ever watch Undisputed, or Stephen A. Smith, if you watch First Take, right? You can be playful with it, if you will. It doesn't have to be a negative thing. Now, second, what I want you to do is I want you to start to imagine this voice, right? Imagining your thoughts in an entirely different voice. Because the issue that happens is when we hear our thoughts in our own voice, guess what we do? We really hold on to these thoughts as if it is our own words, not knowing that this is just simply the mind speaking. But when your mind has a different sound, right? So not only a different name, but a different sound, we learn not to take everything so heavy, so tightly with everything that the mind says. Take everything so personal, if you will. By doing this, it gives you space and reminds you that you are not the mind, and you do not have to give everything that the mind says your full undivided attention. Just simply acknowledge it and let it go. By doing this, you have a great chance at crushing your depression so that you can get back to your business and start changing lives the way that you were doing maybe just a few weeks ago, if you will. So again, I'll refresh these. So first step, I want you to acknowledge and embrace this feeling. And the reason why we want to acknowledge it is because first we want to know that, hey, there is a problem. Just like when your car is, not doing well, the check engine light comes on, right? There's an acknowledgement there. And now we know we need to take it to the shop. Also, embrace this feeling because we do not want to start to fight with these feelings, because by fighting with these feelings, other issues start to come up, like addictions, for example. Second, what I want you to do is I want you to look inside your pain to tell you what you deeply care about. Just because the depression there doesn't mean that there isn't any value. Again, I've experienced it when I wasn't doing well in my business, and it showed me that I deeply care about helping people, making a movement, if you will. If you're not finding fulfillment in your business, maybe that's telling you that the niche you're in, the business that you're in, the market that you're in is not the ideal niche, not the ideal market, and now it's time to switch. And then last, we gotta kill the rumination. And the way we do that is by giving the mind a name and then imagining these thoughts in an entirely different voice. Because when the mind has its own identity, it allows us not to focus and hold on tightly to everything that it says, just like a dog will hold on to a bone. These are the 3 steps that if you use, you'll be able to step away from the depression and get back into living life and running business on your terms. So guys, this is Coach Wells. I appreciate you joining. Feel free to hit the subscribe button so you get more content like this. And also, I'll even give you this. If you write a comment on any platform, I will personally read it, respond it. And then if you have a question or want me to do an episode on a specific topic, let me know. I will do that specifically for you. That way, this podcast is guided and personalized just for you. All right, I'll see you later.